Hello, my name is Arthur, and in the last video we put in place the ability to close a tab and to know if the tab had been modified and needed to be saved. And that is in this function here. We're at the end. We diverted it to the save as dialog, so that's not appropriate. And what we're going to do now is we're going to put in a close file confirmation dialog. So it'll be a little pop-up window that will offer the option to close and discard, save and close, or cancel. And we'll update the close tab function so that it works better with that dialog. So we'll just get started and we'll do the close file confirmation. So this function is going to return an int. Let's get ourselves some space here. So I'll just put some space above and below. Mostly above. So it will return an int to the close tab function. We'll call this close file confirmation. And it's going to receive an integer for the page number. And yeah, this function will be pretty similar to the other dialogs. But it does have some difference, and it was a little bit more difficult to get working from the documentation, which was a little less clear for this kind of a dialogue. So we're going to make a GTK dialog flags. We'll call that flags. And I'm not exactly sure that I have the flags all right here. We're going to go GTK dialog modal. And I haven't tested this out yet. To know exactly what that means, what I think it's supposed to mean is that when the pop-up comes up, the back window should be going insensitive. But there may be an issue with that because in our dialogs we've been putting up null for the window. And I figured out why that was giving me the gears. It's because window is not global. So I can put window in here, but it doesn't know what I'm talking about because window is localized to the one function. So it's entirely possible that I'll need to change window to being something that's global. Whoops. GTK widget. This one we'll call confirm dialog. And we'll need an integer for the result. So we'll go with the same naming convention. Confirm dialog equals GTK message dialog new. Again, we're going to put null for the window for now, but I won't be surprised if that needs to change. It wouldn't do in certain of our functions to be able to change tabs, because the open tab is actually saying what tab is being saved and stuff like that right now in some instances. So the back window should be going insensitive when these dialogues pop up, but I haven't at all checked on that. So we put in the window the flags that we declared. We're going to make the message type. So the GTK message is a warning. For this one, because the different dialog boxes, like the button configurations by default, are not something that I think is what we would want. We're going to go GTK buttons none, and then we'll make our own buttons, and then we give it the text that goes inside of the window. So that text would be closing unsaved document. And then we'll add in buttons. Now, adding in dialog buttons isn't like adding in other buttons. So we'll go GTK dialog, add buttons. GTK dialog. Confirm dialog. And let's get that typo. Sometimes I don't see my typos, and it probably looks really obvious watching a video, but I'm somebody who kind of looks at the keys when I type. I'm not the greatest typer. So our first button will be called close and discard. Its response, GTK response. We'll use the close response. And yeah, the name of the response, I don't think that's actually all that important. It really just acts to make the script more readable. We could use nonsense responses, and as long as the script reacts to the response the proper way, it doesn't matter what the words of the response are. And it's really just about making script that's legible and understandable. Because these are just values, they're enumerated values. So GTK response close is just a number. And that would be, we'll use GTK response accept, and then cancel for our third button. And that's pretty standard for this type of a pop-up, to have close and discard, or close and delete, or however it's usually phrased. So we'll put cancel here, and GTK response cancel. And then it needs to be told that that's it. So we'll put no, and end it up like that. Now, without the null there, it will throw a compiler error. It took me a while to figure that one out. So result equals GTK dialog run. GTK dialog. Confirm dialog. Now we're going to have a return value because we're returning an integer. So we're going to start that value at 2. And that's kind of it's going to be the cancel value. So we'll start value equals 2. And then we'll change it according to which button gets pressed. So we'll have if the result is GTK response close, we're going to make the value equals 0. So value equals 0. If result equals GTK response accept, we'll make the value equals 1. Yep, that's right. Value equal 1. Then we'll call destroy GTK widget destroy confirm dialog. And we'll tell it to return the value. So more or less what this is sort of meaning is 0 and 1 are false and true. So we have true and false. So what we're going to do is we're going to change close tab. And more or less what it's doing is it's asking, do you want to save the file? So no, I don't want to save it. Yes, I do want to save it. And then 2 is, oh, I don't really know what happened, and it won't do anything. So that's going to take some changes to close tab to make that work. So we'll make an integer called close, which is the question, sort of. Oh, we can just keep this one and modify it. So instead of looking for if the buffer was not modified, we're going to look if the buffer was modified. So we're going to take and push all of that down. Some of that we'll need. Okay, so if the buffer was modified, we need to ask a question. So we're going to have the return value go to close equals close file and what did we call that? Confirmation. And we sent it page num. So now we get a value back for close. Rather than using a whole bunch of if statements, we're going to go over to a switch statement. So we'll go switch close and we'll deal with it as cases. So we'll have case 0, and case 0 is remove the page. So we'll put this into case 0. We'll cut that right out. Paste it into here. We'll move this with a tab. And then we'll break. Wondering, are my tabs all messed up again? Not sure, I can't tell. Alright, I'm not sure if those are... So we have case 1 and case 1, let's see. That one, we're going to now we're diverting it to save as, but it's not the same as the way that we diverted it before, because now we're kind of one step after the dialogue that we ended around the first time. But because the save dialog still needs to be fixed to do all of the things it needs to be able to do, save as is the best place to send it right now. And in save as, does that have a return value? Save as, no, we don't have to send a value to that. So that's our two cases. So we'll break. Then we'll go default. Break. And that basically, that handles the two, because cancel just causes the dialog window to close, but nothing to happen. So that should all be functional. We can get rid of this. and replace it with that. And that should... Oh, we have a stray bracket there. So our brackets look like they're all in order now. So let's just go across and see if we're missing anything really obvious before we go to... Okay. Things look right. So yeah, that looks right. Let's see what we get out of that. See if we compile. Well, we're missing a couple of things there. We'll just put that down there and this, bring it back. Let's see, 125. Oh, destroyed. Had no semicolon. Error at break. Oh, there's one there. And that should get us going. Oh. Implicit declaration of save as. Okay, so where's the problem there? Oh, it's because it's not called save as. It's called save as dialog. There we go. So that gets us going. So yeah, if I was to make the window global when the pop-up is appearing, like when we do the open dialog, it's appearing in the middle of the screen, but if window is made the parent, this should pop up in front of it. It looks a little bit odd because this window is so much larger than the other one. Maybe I'll change the size of this to bring it down. Pretty sure I can do that. So we'll just cancel that. We'll make some tabs. We'll make some noise in a tab. We should get a pop-up dialog. Closing unsaved document. Close and discard. Okay, there's a typo there. We don't want that. We want that to be save and close. So we'll just close and discard, and let's see what we get here. So the one with text is the one that discarded. But we seem to have a breakage here. Okay, so I caused some kind of a breakage. Oh, we do not want to do that. If we improperly close, then we'll be not freeing the memory. Oh, I see what I've done is I had to declare close as 0. So I needed to declare and initialize close to equal 0. If it doesn't equal 0 when I try to delete a tab, it just falls right through because it equals not, it doesn't equal 0. It equals nothing. It equals a different kind of 0. Okay, so our other problem was the typo here. So let's have a look at that. make sure we're all working. So I don't anticipate there should be any more problems there. So it calls up the dialog. If we go save and close, what I'm thinking should actually be happening here is one more file chooser dialog that has save and close for its button instead of save, because if I was to save here, it's not going to close. It takes a special function to do that save and close. So that's probably one more dialog to be able to close things properly. So we'll just discard and close all those up. So that gets the another dialog in the list working. The next dialog I think should be save and close. And then after that, it's looking at getting the actual save file doing the work here. So save file needs to be doing the work. And in the end, I know that there's going to be a need to declare some of these functions because they're kind of going in a circle that it's going to be impossible to have them not end up having to back up on themselves. So some of these functions are going to need to be declared, and yeah, it's a matter of where I declare them. Like, I'll probably declare them only where they need to be and not clutter up the whole top of the script with a whole bunch of declarations for functions. But yeah, I'm not really sure on how that's what the standard is for doing something like that, but that's how I'm going to handle it. So that's it for this video. In the next video we'll do the one last dialog, and then after that we'll straighten out the save file so that it's carrying the workload and determining a little bit more, and we'll fix the name from address function, because in our actual type for the book, the only thing we actually have working right is the buffer. And right now the address and the text, these both need to be fixed, because the text should be holding only the valid file name, and the address should probably only be holding the valid address that the file was opened from. Or in the case of new tab, which this is going to get changed, it's going to get changed to untitled, like the default one. When the application starts, it makes untitled. What I should probably be trying to figure out for this is how exactly I make an address that isn't system specific. Like on my system, there's a string of folders to end up at my documents, but I'm certain there must be a way to have it default to my documents and have an address that would apply to any folder system. Like it would go to the user's documents, not to Arthur's documents. So I have to figure that part out, the address, that make it so that the address doesn't only function on my system. I'm sure that there's a way to do that. So yeah, that's it for this video, and in the next one we'll come back and do yet another dialogue and see how that works out. So I hope this was helpful, and until the next video, take care.